Welcome to our immigration.ca podcast. I'm Dave Caro, and we're joined by immigration lawyer Colin Singer, managing partner of immigration.ca, who will discuss the latest happenings in the Canadian immigration and employment industry. For today's podcast, I understand we will be featuring important questions in the industry. Followers will be looking forward to receiving your thoughts. Let's head to the question of the day. Our featured question is the following. I am interested to apply under the Quebec Business Immigration Entrepreneur category. I recently learned that the annual quotas of 500 applications have been reached for 2014. I also learned that the Quebec Minister announced Quebec will begin accepting new investor applications in January 2015. What are the requirements and what are my current options to apply as a Quebec entrepreneur or an investor in the light of recent developments?
Currently, the Quebec Business Immigration Program is the only substantive program of its kind currently operating in the Canadian immigration industry. There are formal written requirements as well as informal unwritten policies that the Quebec Minister of Immigration applies across all its business immigration programs. Formally, to apply under the Quebec Entrepreneur Program, an applicant must have the following minimal requirements. First, net assets of at least 300,000 Canadian dollars obtained legally. Second, at least 2 years of experience during the past 5 years operating a lawful and profitable business of which the applicant owns at least 25% of the capital stock. With these requirements in hand, there are two possible options where the applicant either submits and defends a business plan where he or she will create or acquire a business in Quebec that the applicant will actively manage and own at least 25% of the equity, which must have a value of at least 100,000 Canadian dollars. The second possible option would allow for the applicant to have already acquired at least 25% of the capital equity in a business in Quebec with a value of 100,000 Canadian dollars. And the applicant must be involved in the active management of the business. So there's two specific options. One is a proposed plan of action, and second would be a project in which the applicant has already acquired at least 25% of the capital equity in a business. Applicants who have acquired an actual business have the best chances of approval as opposed to applicants who submit and defend a business plan. Additionally, those who have acquired the capital equity of a business in Quebec will also have an excellent opportunity to secure an early entry work permit to Canada that would allow them to come to Canada and operate their business. Informally, the Quebec government applies a very strict interpretation on how the net assets of at least $300,000 Canadian were legally obtained. Applicants will be required to show a strong history of the provenance of assets dating back to practically the first accumulated dollar. Applicants must therefore be prepared to show a strong trail of documentation to prove the provenance of their assets. As well, the value of their assets must be carefully scrutinized and must be supported by recognized evaluations. Recently, the Minister of Quebec Immigration announced that the annual limits for business entrepreneur and self-employed applications were reached for 2014. Although we cannot anticipate future changes in the law, there is continuing reason to believe that new levels will be announced in the spring of 2015. This means that interested applicants will be encouraged to prepare and ready their applications for submission in 2015 when the new quotas open. typically, announcements are made in March of each calendar year. Applicants who are serious about submitting an entrepreneur application are encouraged to conduct a prospective business market visit, and thereafter they would prepare their applications for submission when the program opens in the spring of 2015.
What about the Quebec Investor Stream?
For Quebec investor applications, on August 27, 2014, immigration authorities here in the province of Quebec announced that they will begin to accept new applications under its highly successful Quebec Immigrant Investor Program for a limited period starting in January 2015. This comes as welcome news for high net worth individuals looking for an attractive passive investment scheme offering Canadian permanent residence. With the recent closure of the Federal Immigrant Investor Program, the Quebec program is the only one of its kind in Canada. Quebec has the second largest economy and population among all Canadian provinces, and its vibrant metropolis, Montreal, is the second largest city in Canada. Under the announcement, Quebec will accept a maximum of 1,750 applications during a short window of time beginning January 5 until January 20 inclusive 2015. Interested applicants would be encouraged to act early to increase their chances of having an application selected for processing. The process operates under a draw. Once all the applications are submitted, the eligible applications are selected one by one until the annual quotas are reached for the given year. The application quotas and the limited period of reception do not apply to applicants in the investor category who have high levels of French proficiency. To be eligible, applicants must demonstrate the following qualifications. First, they must have a legitimately acquired personal net worth of at least 1.6 million Canadian dollars. Second, they must have at least 2 years of senior managerial experience within the past 5 years in a private enterprise, an eligible partnership, a government body, or an NGO. Third, the individual must commit to making an interest-free investment of 800,000 Canadian dollars in a prescribed government guaranteed investment for a period of 5 years. And fourth, the individual must express and demonstrate an intention to settle in the province of Quebec. There are many considerations and strategies involved in readying an application under the Quebec Immigrant Investor Program. Thus, interested readers are invited to complete our free online evaluation to determine whether they qualify for immigration to Quebec as an entrepreneur or as an immigrant investor. Our immigration professionals will provide evaluation results within 2 business days.
This concludes today's podcast. Stay tuned for our next episode.